Hey friends, nice having you here once again. Today is a special day, and today we have a phenomenal person with us in the studio, and that's nobody else but Dr. Rachel Edoho Eckert, and she's a distinguished educator, educational leader, serving as the 2025 president of the Maryland Association of Elementary School Principals. As principal of a national Blue Ribbon school in Maryland, she has built a reputation as a strong instructional leader, passionate educational advocate, and dedicated mentor. With decades of experience in public education, Dr. Edoho Eckert is the author of the best-selling book, The Principal's Journey: Navigating the Path to School Leadership. Her academic credentials include BS in early childhood and elementary education, MS in curriculum and instruction, and a doctorate in leadership and professional practice. As a lifelong learner committed to excellence, Dr. Edoho Eckert continues to inspire upcoming teacher leaders through her highly effective teaching and leadership style. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me. Welcome to the studio, Dr. Edoho Eckert. Hi.
Hello, thank you so much for having me, Dr. Echu. It's wonderful to meet you and your wonderful audience.
I know. Like we've been working on this and finally, boom, we're here. I'm
Yes.
so excited that you were able to make it. I know you're very busy and I see all the great work. By the way, congratulations for your book and everything else you're doing.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your encouragement.
Yeah. From vision to impact, crafting your leadership legacy from day one.
Yes, I love that.
Is that a thing? Is that a thing?
It is. I think it's really important to think about what we want to accomplish and then really working towards those goals one day at a time, step by step.
As a leader, you've been dealing with different age groups and different sets of people. Do you think there is a time in life when it just clicks and you just know, this is that time I have to start? Is there a time like that?
Well, I like all the different stages of life. So I'm in my 40s now, and I felt like this is a good time. I have a lot of experience as an educator, as a parent, as a wife under my belt. And I felt like now is the time to share some of the knowledge and to continue to learn. So I think there's not a time to do something. I think we're always a work in progress. We're always learning, we're always growing, and just sharing that experience with other people has been really amazing.
So what would you say to someone who thinks that there are different purposes and different seasons in life, and we have to be open to the different purposes that open to us in different seasons of life? How
I
would you
agree.
respond to that?
Yeah, I agree. I think each season has something special to learn and to grow from. There's not going to be a perfect time. There's not going to be a perfect season to do anything. So, from my philosophy is if you have a goal, for me, it was to write a book. I always wanted to write a book, even when I was a child. And
Mm,
so, but it took me a long time to actually get to the point where I was ready to start. But I had to start. So, if you have a dream and you want to do something, you just need to start the process and just
mm.
continue to work on that every single day. Doing something every day that gets you closer to your goal is something that's really important to do.
Oh, well, ladies and gentlemen, listen, it's already sounding good. Don't you see that? Which means please go ahead and share this. Share this. Make sure that all your friends in your groups, everybody has access to this, and you are going to be changing somebody's life. And we'll be right back.
For your corporate and personal needs.
Leaders World Institute, changing lives, one leader at a time.
So, when you saw this topic from vision to impact, crafting your leadership legacy from day one, what are the thoughts that ran through your mind?
Well, legacy is a word that I use a lot. That's really
Mm,
important to me. I think about the legacy that my grandmothers left. I talk about them a lot in my career because all of the women in our family have a very strong lineage. My mother, everyone. And I really looked up to my great grandmother, my grandmother, and my mom. And so that's a big part of what I want to do is to build a legacy. My grandmother used to work for 25 cents a week cleaning homes. She was
Mm,
able to do that so that my grandmother was able to go off to college, get her
mm,
master's degree from Johns Hopkins. Those were things that
wow.
were revolutionary at her time because this was in the 70s. She's an African American woman. She grew up during
Mm,
segregation and she was able to achieve a lot of her dreams. And that was something that I saw growing up. That's something that I admired. My mother worked part time, but also was a small business owner. She made jewelry. That was her way of getting extra funds. And so that showed me that you can do a lot of different things. Whatever your dreams are, you can do them. So that was what was modeled for me growing
yeah.
up as a child. And so as I began to come into my own, both as a student and then
Mm,
later as a teacher and now a
mm,
principal, I've been
yes.
able just to understand that you can do a lot of different things. You can do
Mm,
them well. You can make time for the things that you want to do. But that
mm,
also means you're going to have to say no to a couple of things that don't align with what you want to do, or to a
absolutely.
couple of people that may not align with where you're going. So that's some important lessons along the way that I've learned and to build a legacy in the way that I'm proud of.
Now, talking about the word legacy, sometimes that word sounds so big. It's like, you need to do these ginormous, big, giant things for the society, like transform 1,000 people and then start leaving legacy. But from the things you're saying, talking about your mother and your grandmother, how would you break down legacy to someone that just needs for it to be broken down for them to understand that it's it's my concern, it's your concern. So how would you break it down?
I think for me, legacy is a gift. Legacy
Mm,
is something that you can give to someone else.
mm,
It may be something that you've shown them, maybe something you've taught them, maybe
mm,
something that you've modeled for them. You may
mm,
not even know the example that you're setting for somebody else, but it's still a gift to somebody else because they can use your experience, your wisdom, what you have learned into their life. So that's what I've done. I've used the legacy of my grandmothers, my great grandmother, my mother to really inform who I am today as a mother, as a wife, as an educator. So those are things that I feel like a legacy is a gift. You're right. It doesn't have to be having millions of fans and being an actress or a movie star. It might be the teacher has left a legacy for her student. It might be
yes.
you are an excellent cook and you've left a legacy for your family on how to prepare meals that are warm and lovely and bring the family together. It might be your
Yes.
spirit. It might be something that
Mm,
you have brought to
mm,
lift up somebody else. So,
mm,
yes, a legacy does not have to be something big or major, but it has to be important to the people that you are impacting.
Oh wow. Oh wow. It has to be important to the people that you are impacting. So it's about the people. It's about the people
Yes.
that you are impacting. Now, let's say there is a leader that just got into a new role, and maybe within the first 90 days of that role, how would you speak with them, if they sought your advice about, just establishing that legacy from the word go, like establishing the foundation for what's going to be their legacy, for when maybe they're not there? How would you speak into that?
So I think every leader really needs to be focused on relationships,
Ooh.
really getting to know people. This is a
Mm,
people centered job. I like to say my first job was at Burger King, and that was service with a smile, right? So people are
yes.
ordering their fast food. I'm saying, hey, how may I help you? How can I serve you? So for me, leadership is about service and it's
Mm,
about people and relationships. And that
mm,
takes time. You don't get to know people overnight, but you do have to take intentional steps to get to know the people that you work with, to
mm,
get to know your school community, to find
mm,
out what is special about your school. What do people love about your job, right? And what are
mm,
some ways that you can maintain that work and what are some enhancements that you might bring to the job? But the
mm,
first thing before you make any changes is to learn the people, to get to know what their strengths are, to get to know how well they work together with other people. What are things that they like? What are things that they don't like? So that we can set each other up for success. And another part of that is also letting people know you a little bit. This is an area where I'm still continuing to work, but letting people know that you have what your interests are. What do you like to do outside of your job? That's really how you build connections with people. What about if you have children, if you have pets, what are some special things? What are your hobbies? That's how you can help to find connections with everyone that you're serving and to build that positive relationship from day one.
Oh wow. Oh, you make it sound so easy.
It's not easy, but it takes time. It takes time.
Wow, I like how you say it takes intentionality, it takes time, it takes being focused on those relationships. And I like something you said about setting each other up for success. Have you ever been in a work environment or heard about a work environment where it's like everybody's trying to set somebody for failure? Have you ever seen
Thankfully,
that?
I have not been. I've been very fortunate in every one of my schools and every one of my professional relationships to really have that positive. But I know that it happens. I know that sometimes people don't mix well together, or sometimes there are miscommunications that happen, or sometimes people are in a different space and a season in their life that makes it more challenging for them to develop positive relationships with people. And I would say if you're in that situation right now, let's say that you're working with someone that has been challenging, or that, maybe their personal beliefs do not align with yours as much. The first thing to understand is really to keep it centered on the students. We are educators. Our job is to work together on behalf of students and our children. And so I always like to focus my energy there on how can we work together to make the student successful, right? So it may not be that you and I are working together well, because personally we may have an issue, but what can we do to focus our energy on someone else, right? On the student success. So how can we work together in that way? Sometimes that's a bridge to build a relationship. Other times you might just need to give that person a little bit of space and give yourself that space, because it's hard to come into an environment every day where if you don't feel valued, or if you're feeling upset, that's a challenging environment to work in. So I would always say personally, like, look for moments of joy within your work. So what else can you focus on other than this person or this group of people? Can you focus on the good work that you're doing every day? Can you build a relationship with a student who's been struggling? Can you engage with other coworkers who really bring the positivity, who bring you happiness, who like to uplift other people? That's where you should be spending your energy.
Mm, mm. I know you've been, education is your niche, and I'm sure these principles apply to other workspaces, other industries where maybe we are dealing with solely with adults, and maybe do they apply?
They do apply. And I think what is interesting about school leadership is we're serving not only children, but we're serving adults. That's one of the unique positions in the school system, is that we're working, assistant principals are working with all ages. So across my day, I might interact with a 3-year-old in our preschool program. And I might, change my language up just a little bit for the little child. But then I'm also working with people who are older than me, who have more experience than I do, right? So I also change my communication to suit their needs. So I think that these are universal principles, but school leaders are in a unique position, because we're not only working with adults and families, we're also working with very young children. So that's a fun part of the job.
Yeah, and that goes back to what you said initially about knowing the people, getting to know the people that you're working with. And I just love how you make it sound easy.
I'm glad I make it sound easy. It is not easy. It does take time. I'm in a new school this year, so I've had the opportunity to relearn this job. I've been an administrator now for a decade, but when you move to a new school and when you're in a new school community, you have to start over again. It's like you're new again, because you have to meet everyone again. You have to learn people's personalities. You have to learn the new students in the building, and you have to learn their families. So this has been a transition year for me, because I just started my school last July. So it's been lovely. It's been an amazing experience. I'm learning something new every single day, but it does take that time to adjust and to get to know
Mm,
everybody.
mm. And in every establishment, there are like unwritten rules of the culture and
Yes.
unwritten rules of the culture. How do you get to actually dig out those nuances of an organization that you're new in, and like how do you unearth those unwritten rules so
Yeah.
that you're more productive and efficient at what you do?
Yeah, well, this is what I love about being a school leader because this is now my fifth school as an
Mm,
educator. And
wow.
each one of the five schools that I've been either a teacher or an administrator in are totally different.
Mm,
Every culture in the school is different because each community is so unique. And
mm.
so, one of the ways that I've made progress in this area is by asking a lot of questions.
Oh,
Now,
wow.
sometimes you come up against culture in a way where you have broken an unspoken rule and you don't know that because at one school the culture was one way and it may be different at another school. So what I have learned is to slow down and to ask questions first. So before I make a move, I might say, here's what I did previously. Is this something, what process do you all use for this? So
Mm,
that's been very helpful to me to slow down, to not make assumptions, to
mhm.
ask people what they need, to ask questions about what has been done previously here. Here's something that I have also done. Is this something that we can incorporate here? Is this something that appeals to you? If it doesn't appeal, we won't do it. If it appeals, how can we modify it to make it work for the school?
Mm,
So that's been really good for me slowing down because I'm someone I like to move quickly. I like to move through decisions quickly and be efficient with my time. But being in a new place, it really forces you to slow down and to learn, to ask questions, and
mm.
then to get better from there.
Yeah, awesome. What would be your approach to let's say a situation where you're doing the best to ensure that the culture is what you want it to be, for everybody to feel valued, welcome, and appreciated, but it's just like there is this one or two persons that you're not able to break through with them no matter what you do. How do you approach a situation like that?
I think that's normal. One of the years ago, I did a strengths training, so Gallup strengths,
Yeah,
and we
gallops.
learned, yeah, we learned about our personal strengths, and then we learned about the strengths of other people and figuring out how to work together.
Mm,
And one of my beliefs is that everybody does have strengths. Everyone has something that they do really well. They have
mm,
things to contribute to a team. But one
mm,
of the things that we talk about morale and about mindsets, when we were doing that training, we had that exact question. What do you do with the people who seem to be really fixed and have been this way for a while? How do you move those?
mm,
And the facilitator had a very interesting answer. He said that you actually don't try to move those people. The people you should be focusing on are the people in the middle and the people who are going to move with you. Because the people in the middle, you have an opportunity to influence them and their beliefs and their behaviors. And so if someone's in a fixed place, the energy is actually better spent in the middle or the people who are going to move with you. So that's
mm,
something that I've had to learn because I think there's a part of all of us that wants to change people, that wants to change behaviors. And ultimately, you cannot change people. You have to be respectful of people and the strengths that they bring. But you can help influence people who are in a
mm.
position and ready to be influenced. And that's where the energy is best spent. So I
Wow.
felt that was good advice. So I want to share that.
Wow, it's like accepting what you can influence and understanding where your own limitations are as a leader, because maybe there is just something about that person that you haven't gained the awareness about, and it's
Yeah.
it's it's just not the season
And then,
to be
yeah,
able
exactly. People go through different seasons. And I
yes,
think we have to
yes.
remember that there's never
And
going to be a time when everyone is happy, when
mm,
everyone is experiencing joy in
mm,
their life. People
mm,
are living their lives. That's why it's important to have that relationship or to at least work on the relationship because sometimes people will reveal that to us and say, hey, I'm experiencing something right now. I'm not at my
mm,
best.
Mm.
And we have empathy for that. We understand that
Yes.
because there's going to be a time when we're not at our best, when we
Mhm.
are busy and feeling overloaded, something perhaps personally or professionally is happening in our own lives.
Right.
And we might become those people at one point. That doesn't mean we stay there, but we may get there. So we have to have that understanding of the cycles and the seasons.
Yes, yes, yes. Wow, this is amazing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching, please let us know where you're joining us from. Are you on LinkedIn? Are you on Facebook? Are you on YouTube? Where are you joining us from? Are you on Instagram? Let us know, and please put in the comments for me. Just put so good, because I think Dr. Eckert is doing an amazing job over here, and I want you to put in the comments for me so good, so we just know you're here. Okay, and it also helps the algorithm because it lets the systems know, oh, this is good stuff, let's send it to other people. So please put as many comments as you can. We have with us the phenomenal Dr. E. Edoho Eket with us, and we are talking from vision to impact, creating your leadership legacy from day one. And you know, your day one could be this day, like today, because it's never late to start a new journey, especially if where you've been headed is not where you actually want to be, right? It's not where
Yes.
you want to go. You can start that day one today. And she's told us a lot of things about focusing on the relationships, serving people, being intentional, and slowing down and asking questions, especially if you're the type of person that is like fast paced and always like on the move. You want to learn to just consciously, deliberately slow down so you can connect with the people instead of zooming by all the time, you know.
Yes.
And Dr. Eckert, Edoho Eckert, also told us to know the people that we're working with. And she said it takes time. It takes time. So, which means that when we give in the time, we're going to know their strengths. And she talked about setting up each other for success. I love that. That's the type of energy we all want, right? Someone that wants to set you up for success. I love it. So, how can leaders balance, Doctor? How can leaders balance between quick wins with a long-term strategic initiatives as they engage new roles? How can they balance that? You know, because we are looking at strategic vision in your new role, or even if it's an old role, you want to do something new, you want to bring fresh energy. How can we balance between those quick wins and the long-term strategic initiatives?
I think that's a great question because long term goals definitely take time
Mm,
and we don't want to get discouraged in the process. So that's where the short term wins and celebrating that is very, very important. We don't
mm,
want to be discouraged if there are little, little things that are not working out along the way. We really want to have that long term vision. And
mm,
so celebrating those small wins is extremely important to keep us motivated, even if it's a win that, hey, I had a conversation with someone today in my office that had nothing to do with school. It was a 10-minute conversation. We may have conversed about our families, or we may have talked about a sports game that we both were interested in. That's still a win in my book because it's relationship centered. You're building that relationship. And because you're building that relationship, you're probably actually going to get closer to your goals because you're going to be able to influence the people through relationships to help you stay on the same team and to work together because you now have a personal connection. And
mm,
so celebrating wins, no matter how small, is very important. I also like to take pictures around our school, and I send out a celebration every Friday. It could be anything. It could be something that a student did well. It might be a celebration of a staff member. It may be a celebration that our school had in our district. But I really try to send that out every single Friday so that we can keep that positive momentum going. And I think that that's helpful because when you work in a large school, everyone doesn't always see all the wonderful things that are happening. But if you are a school leader and you're out in your school, you are a positive presence. You know what's going on. You're in and out of classes. You're building relationships with everyone. You can take those pictures and then share them with your staff so that everyone can see other things that are happening great around the school. So those are some ways that I've tried to be that positive presence and to continue to celebrate all the wonderful things because each school is doing amazing work. And we just need to continue to share that with everyone so that everyone knows all the wonderful things that are going on.
Wow. I like how you talked about, sometimes we look at productivity and wins like, oh, I hit my goals, established this goal, and that's what I did. But now you're looking, you're helping us to look at it with fresh new eyes. Like, you stopped and just talked with someone and maybe asked about their dog, asked about their cat, and you build that connection. I wasn't looking at it from that perspective, you know. That's where journaling and just spending quiet moments at the end of the day to think of what was good and what could be made better comes in, because hey, yes, that was a big win. Maybe you were able to make somebody to smile.
Yes.
Even though you didn't get all the work on your table done. I love it.
Yeah.
I just love that perspective, and how you talked about, focusing on those small wins and celebrating them in order not to be overwhelmed and frustrated with maybe how slowly the big wins are coming in. Do you want to
Yeah.
speak more into that? I just love how you
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, and one example I was thinking of was every year we have, 3 times a year we have communications and meetings with teachers individually so that we can go over the progress that their students are making and how their
Mm,
instructional strategies are, making a positive difference for their
mhm,
students.
mm,
And, I always set with the intention to have those conversations, and we do have them. But my favorite conversations are when I have a moment of time to connect with teachers during that
mm,
one-on-one time on things that they may be struggling with or things that they're excited about, so that we have that time to talk about it. Because even though we work with a lot of people, there are still times when people are feeling lonely, or they're feeling
yes,
overwhelmed, or
yes.
they're feeling, upset. Maybe there was an interaction that they are
Mhm,
concerned about that they need to process and debrief about. And
mm,
that one-on-one time is so important. I remember talking with a teacher earlier this year who was feeling very overwhelmed. And that gave me an opportunity to talk about a time when I'm feeling overwhelmed and how I managed it. And she really appreciated that time, because I think there's sometimes a perception that school leaders have it all together, that yes, it's a hard job, but we somehow figure it out, that we're kind of like Teflon, we don't feel certain things. And that was a nice opportunity to connect and empathize, to say, I have been where you are,
mm,
and I understand exactly how you're feeling. Here are
mm.
some things that helped me. Do you think you can try one of them? Do you think it would be helpful? And the teacher wrote me a really nice text message like the next day, just saying, I really needed that conversation. Thank you for that.
Oh,
It helped
wow.
me. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm looking for when I say building relationships and really building a rapport with
Mm,
people,
mm,
because we had a new connection that had that conversation not occurred, I would
mm.
not have understood. It would have been, hey, how are you? I'm fine, keep going, right? But just because people say that they're fine, it doesn't mean that it's so, right? But it
Right.
takes time to unearth that and understand that.
Mm, mm. While you were talking, I was thinking about, the word vulnerability came into my heart, because like dealing with children, we may not need to be all that vulnerable with, handling their issues and their challenges. But when it comes to adults, where is the place of vulnerability, especially when we are handling challenging situations that they are facing? Where is the place of vulnerability as a leader?
Yeah. Vulnerability is so important. That's something, again, that over time I've had to get better with. I think when I first started, I did want people to think that I had it all together, that, because in my mind, if people see a confident person, a confident woman, that they will feel more comfortable. But what I've learned is it's a very fine line. You
Mm,
cannot appear so confident that you are out of touch with people. And
wow.
so it's important for leaders to say, I am struggling with something right now.
Okay.
Here's how I'm trying to manage it. Or I don't have an answer for that. One of my favorite mentors was so good at that. She was the first principal that I had where I saw that level of vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
Would be in a meeting and she would say, I don't have the answers right now, but we will figure it out.
Mm.
Or she would say, I'm really upset about this situation, but I'm trying to get over it. And that was really important for me to hear as a developing and aspiring leader. At that time, I was a kindergarten teacher, but I was learning how to be a leader. And she really helped me to understand that leaders don't have to have all the answers, that leaders can lean on other people and other colleagues when they need support, that
Mm.
leaders were not required to have thick skin all the time. Yes, we do need it, but not all the time, right? That sometimes it's okay to say that I'm struggling with something, but I'm working through it. So I really appreciated that model, that vulnerability that she showed, that authenticity, because that's something that I think has helped me to connect in all of my schools as I'm working with lots of people, that they begin to understand more about me and my thought process. And I think that that normalizes how other people are feeling.
Mm. Mm. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking from vision to impact, crafting your leadership legacy from day one. Please put in the comments legacy, 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 legacy. All right. And also share with us your wins, your gains from this session. Also, please go ahead and share this. Okay. I know you need that reminder, right? Share this. Go ahead, do it now. Go ahead and share it. And for all of you that have shared already, thank you so much. You're helping us reach a wider audience. We really do appreciate you doing this with us. Dr. Rachel Edoho Eckert is here with us, and we'll be right back.
For your corporate and personal needs.
Leaders World Institute, changing lives, one leader at a time.
So, Doctor, when you talked about your mentor, the teacher, leader, the administrator, that the principal that actually you looked up to, I was thinking about how do we get to identify potential leaders who are allies in our environment to be able to help us in our journey.
So I love this question because I was someone who never saw myself in a leadership role. Never.
Mm.
My grandmother has her teaching degree. She was a school librarian. She retired after 32 years in the Baltimore City public school system. My mother has her teaching degree and I have mine. So I'm a third generation educator.
Okay. So it's a family of.
It's a family. Yes. Yes.
Wow. What a
Yes.
legacy. What a
Yes,
legacy.
that's part of the legacy. That's right.
Yes,
But
yes.
we did not have any school leaders in our family. No one in our school had been a principal or even an assistant principal. All of us taught in the classroom and retired. And so that was the model that I saw, and that was what I intended to do. I loved being in the classroom. I love being a teacher. I adore teaching in early childhood. That's where my certification is. So I love that birth to third grade age. And it really wasn't until I met my that principal who she said to me, I think that you could be a principal one day. Is this something, Rachel, that you have ever considered? And I said, absolutely not. Under no circumstance will I ever become a principal. Not interested. And she just said, okay. And she continued to invite me to these meetings. She would bring me with her to district level meetings. She would bring me into meetings with families and we would debrief. We would talk about how she responded. And she would ask me, what do you think I could do better? It was something I'd never experienced before. Having a principal ask me, a classroom teacher, what she could do better. It never happened before. But when I look back over my career, there were definitely signs of leadership kind of all the way through those. So even I had opened 2 new schools in my career, which I was blessed to do. And one of them, in my previous school, I had sat on a superintendent's teacher cabinet, and was able to give the superintendent feedback. This was over a decade before I became an administrator. So I definitely had those leadership qualities. And I think when I'm looking for potential leaders, I'm looking for problem solvers. I'm looking for people who are very, very talented and dedicated teachers, who know the craft, who have great pedagogy, who have great relationships, who can communicate very strongly. I'm looking for people who can work with other people well. Because again, this is a job where you have to work with people. You have to know how to collaborate and have to be a good team member. I was a student athlete growing up. I was an athlete in high school and I was an athlete in college. I'm used to working with lots of different personalities and lots of different strengths. And so when I'm looking for potential leaders, I'm looking for people who can spot other people's talent, help to develop them, people who are thinkers, because this is a job that requires outside of the box thinking. Sometimes you have to really be solution oriented. So those are some of the qualities, and I think that's what my mentors saw in me. They saw that potential, and
Right.
it really helped me to cultivate and see myself as a leader. Because again, a lot of times people might have the prerequisite skills, but if they don't see themselves in the role just yet, you
Right.
have to give them opportunities and experiences, and so that they can see themselves there eventually, which is what happened to me.
Yes. While you were talking, I was just thinking about the power of believing in others, because that sounds to me like that's exactly what happened to you
Yeah.
in those circumstances. Tell us about the power of borrowing, the power of borrowed belief, the power
Yeah.
of lending your belief
Yeah.
to others.
I talk about this in my book. The power that we have in our words to plant the seeds for people is really special. And
Yes.
it's a special responsibility that we have and a gift. And so I still remember exactly where we were walking in the hallway when my principal said to me, Rachel, I see this in you. Would you ever do this? And even though at the time the answer was no, I did not see it in me. I did eventually gain that confidence and I was able to do it. That's
Hmm.
and have been now for a decade as a school leader. Over half of my career now has been in school leadership, and I love
Hmm.
this work. And so now, in my role as a mentor and a coach, I'm able to have those similar conversations with the staff members that have that potential, or with people who may not know that they want to be a school-based leader. They may be interested in different, school-based roles, either district level or school-based. But if I see, like recently, I had a mentor who came to me that I was mentoring, and she was my mentee. And initially, she came to me that said, "I just want to spend time with you because I need to complete my certification." And I said, "That's great. You can absolutely like come to the school. Let's meet together. Let's work on some initiatives, some things that we want to do." And I saw her interacting with children, and I immediately thought in my head, boy, she's going to be a principal one day. And I had the same conversation with her that my former principal had with me. I said, do you think you would consider school based? I know you're in the district level office right now, but is this something that you would do? She said, no, no, I'm not interested in school based. I really just need to finish this, for my central office position. And I said,
Yeah.
okay. So
Okay.
again, more exposure, just continuing to work and have conversations. And by the end
Mm.
of our 6 weeks together, she said, I think I'm going to apply to be an assistant principal this year.
Oh,
I
wow.
never thought that I would like it as much as I did, but I love being with the students and I
Wow.
love this work. And I said, I saw that from the beginning, so I'm going to
This
support
is
it.
mind
Yes, I
blowing
said, I
that
will
this came
support
full
you.
circle.
Full
Wow.
circle. And she was promoted that year to an assistant principal. She's currently in her first year as an assistant principal, doing
Oh,
really well.
wow. Please
Yes.
tell
So
her congratulations that we are
I
all
will.
excited for her.
Yeah, she's doing amazing. We still talk a lot and, have maintained that friendship and also just that mentor mentee.
Hmm.
We talk about what's going on in our schools and how we can support each other. We talk about what to celebrate and things that have been challenging. And that relationship is still there, the same way, which I am still in contact with all my former principals and my mentors. I check in with them all the time. I let them know what's going on. I say thank you still to them because without their influence, I would not be sitting in the principal seat. And
Hmm.
I know that.
Hmm.
So it's been nice to have that same experience, like you said, that full circle, that legacy building now for me is about building up more leaders. That's why I wrote my book. I want aspiring leaders to have that resource so that when they're ready to go into school leadership, if they're considering it, having my book is a way to support their journey.
Amazing, 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 amazing. I was just thinking, how what because sometimes we underestimate the capacities that we have, the potentials we have, and so we don't see ourselves in certain roles. And I am thinking that if we really don't have all the people around us who understand these things and who can see further and who have an interest in us to push us and to encourage us and to speak life into our lives so that those potentials come to life, it might even delay our progress stepping into those roles. So, what are some of the ways that individuals can identify their own strengths?
Yeah, well, I think first of all, one thing that helped me understand is like I try to look for themes over my
Mm,
life to understand like what do I do well and what are some things that other people might say. So I might ask my friends and family first, what are some things that I do well? That's a way to kind of tease out some of those strengths. I know for me, even when I was young, I was always organized. I was a big talker, which I got in trouble for quite a bit. Talking in class. I was a communicator. That's what I say now. And I did have leadership because I, even as a sports team, I was team captain of my high school soccer team and of my track team. And I was a captain in college, right? So
mhm,
I did have those leadership skills. And I think as a professional, taking the Myers-Briggs, taking the Gallup strengths, that helped
mhm,
me to also identify and put some language around some
mhm,
of the skills that I had that I may not have been able to name. For instance, maximizer is my first and top strength, right? So maximizers look at the strengths of other people and then
mm.
figure out how to enhance those.
Wow.
I'm an arranger. That's my organizational piece. I'm very organized, but I also have flexibility within that. So if something pivots, then I'm easily able to make a shift and come up with
Mm,
new plans with people. So, and then
right.
I'm a developer. I'm a teacher, right? So that's why I'm at heart. I love to develop people. I love to work. I love to
Mm,
coach. I love to mentor. Those are all
right.
things in my personalities that were teased out from some of those assessments. So I think a combination of asking your family and friends, looking for themes and patterns of yourself that you do well, and then taking those professional quizzes and surveys will also help to tease out some of your strengths.
Mm. Listen, listen. Can you put in the comments for me, please? Put skills. Put skills, 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 skills. Dr. Eckert, Edoho Eckert is over here throwing pills, throwing gems everywhere. But wait, what have you picked up already? Because listen, we are doing this for you, right? We are doing this for you to take your life, to take your business, to take your family, to take your relationships, to take your career to a whole new level. What is that pearl that you just picked up and you're like, I'm going to work on this? Please put it in the comments. Otherwise, just put skills, skills, skills. Don't we all want to work on our skills? Put skills in the comments. And she mentioned about taking those professional assessments like Myers-Briggs and Gallups. If you haven't done them, please do them. I do them every so often because hey, I'm growing, I'm developing, I'm changing, I'm transforming. I want to see if I'm the same person. So it's
Yeah.
very important to do those because they're gonna help you on your journey. I like also how you talked about how you used to be that child that talked a lot. Of
Yes.
course, of course, you're talking with a fellow child talker.
Yes. It's a gift though. It's a strength now. And I talk about that. When I was a child, sometimes people don't understand your gifts. That's just a
Yes.
fact. You have those gifts. Everyone has those gifts inside of you, but everyone may not understand them. But you need to use them anyway because you don't know where your gifts are going to take you. And that
Mm,
was true of me. Now I'm a speaker. I do keynotes. Those are things that I'm on stages. I'm going to be, I've spoken on international stages and we'll do
yeah.
that. And I think that as a child,
Mm,
everyone may not see that. I was constantly in trouble for talking at the wrong time, talking with friends when the teacher was talking. My
Mm.
seat was moved around the classroom multiple times throughout a year till eventually I was stuck next to the wall because I couldn't talk to the wall. That's where my seat always ended by the end of the school year. They would put me next to the quietest person. I would have that person talking. So, yeah. But now I'm paid to speak, right? Now
Yes,
that is a part
yes.
of my livelihood and it's something that I love doing. I love
Mm,
speaking to
mm,
educators. I love speaking in
mm.
different
Yeah,
industries.
yeah.
And that's a gift that I've always had. My father was a minister, so I grew up
Oh, wow.
watching him
Mm,
orate on in the pulpit. And so that was something I always admired about my dad. He would coach me on speaking and public speaking, and those are still
wow.
skills that I'm using today. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Listen, listen, friends, listen, listen. I just think this is so profound. This is absolutely profound because how many people do not understand your future? How many people do not understand your gifts? How many people do not understand where you are, where you're coming from, and where you're going to? But what do you believe about yourself? That is very, very important. And talking about, children that have been, berated for talking a lot, and then I mean, you're not the first. I am an example. Oh, I used to be
Mhm.
the loudest child. I was always like, shut up. Why are you so loud? And yes, and I actually learned to be quiet. You
Mhm.
learn to be quiet, and it's like something, it's like kill something inside of you as a child, coupled with other
Yeah.
circumstances that were not very, very pleasant. So I learned to be quiet, which made me strange because that wasn't me, but I learned to be that person that I wasn't. It was
Right.
later on in life that I started learning and growing and understanding more about myself. And I was like, oh my, I'm not that person. This is who I truly am. And I made up
Right.
my mind. I was like, you know what? I'm going to be that person that people want to listen to.
Mhm.
I'm going to be that person that people want to hear me speak. And
Right.
yes, and that has been my story. And I started developing myself. And yes, I get paid to speak as well today. But I was that child that was told to shut up because I was too loud always. So
Yeah.
hey, I just feel this on a personal level because many times we let people's opinions and what people think we can do and we can't do influence us in a big way. And
That's right.
even as adults,
Mhm.
sometimes you think you've overcome, oh, I am my own person. And then you realize that no, you're still stuck in the patterns that held you captive as a child. Tell us, doctor, about some of those situations and patterns that get people stuck, and how can we get unstuck?
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the things I like to think about now is choice, the word choice.
Ooh.
What are the choices that we're making and why are we making them?
Mm.
And I think right around the time when I, turned 40, I started thinking about what were some of the goals I still wanted to accomplish
Mhm,
because I'm always dreaming, I'm always having visions of different things that I want to do.
mhm,
And it really is about a choice. It is a decision that you make or that you don't make. What I've learned about time is going to move regardless. It does not matter. In 5 years, if you say you want to do something, 5 years is going to come and it's going to go. And either you're going to do it or you're not. And so that really helps me to stay motivated because so years ago, I had done my, bachelor's degree, I had done my master's degree, all this before I was married and had children, right? So I had completed two of the degrees early in my life, which I'm glad that I did. But I still wanted that doctorate. I still wanted more. And I remember at that point, I was married and I had two young twins at home. And I had never
wow.
considered going back to school
I love
with the
twins.
family. Uh-huh, yeah. Do you have twins?
That's one of my stories.
Okay.
One of my babies is a twin, the other one is in
Oh,
heaven.
oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Hmm.
But I think in, thinking about what I wanted to do, I still had that dream
Hmm.
to become a doctor. And I remember approaching my husband about it to say, this is something I want to do. How do you feel about it? Because I had never done a program with a family and with the working full time, with all these responsibilities. And his response was, if you want to do it, right? He was very, very supportive and very encouraging. And
Yeah.
so I really appreciated that because it was a choice. Yes, there were going to be some circumstances that were going to be hard. Yes, this was going to be a different season for our family, and for me to accomplish this. But on the other side, I knew that there were some things that were going to be possible as a result of finishing this degree and doing this program. And so I was able to do that as a full-time assistant principal, wife, and a mother. But what I learned from that was that just getting the confidence of doing something you've always wanted to do, accomplishing it, and then feeling like you can do anything. That's truly how I feel now. It's like I really feel like I can do anything, and it's a good feeling. And so I just want to encourage anyone who is feeling like they cannot do something, or if they're feeling stifled, like, someone has told you you can't do something or you shouldn't do something. What I've learned to do is simply get started with something. Don't tell everybody about it. And then when it's finished, let people know what you've done. Because sometimes well-meaning people can be discouraging. It doesn't mean they don't want you to achieve. It just might mean based on their circumstances and their limitations, maybe something that they were told, they're then projecting that on you.
Yes,
Don't
yes.
ever succumb to people who may not see the vision that you see, because the vision is your vision, is not their vision. So I always encourage people to continue to do more, to learn more, to keep growing. That's our opportunity we have every single day. That's a choice. That's our
Yes,
choice we have.
choice. I like how the word choice, you just delve deep into how it's our choices that determine where we find ourselves 2 years from now, 20
That's
years from now. Life is gonna happen. Choices determine where we find ourselves. And I also like how you say you feel like you can actually do anything you want to do. Like, do you wake up feeling motivated like this every day?
I really do, honestly. Like, I feel
So
that
what's your secret? What's your secret? What do you do?
honestly, it is risk taking, and it is following through on things and seeing
Mm,
the results of those and then
wow.
wanting to do more. I think that's just a part of my personality. I was an
Mhm.
athlete, I was a track athlete for a long time, and every second counted, every tenth of
Mm,
a second counted. So if there was
mm,
any sort of improvement area, I was going for it. If there was anything else I could do, if I could lift more weights, I was doing it. If I was doing more reps around the track, I was doing it to get better. That's
wow.
just a part of my personality. It's a part of the discipline that I have.
Okay, tell us about discipline. Tell us about discipline.
Yeah, discipline's really important. My father was in the military briefly, and so
Okay.
we got some of that on us growing up. My brother and I, just things were timed, things were in a
Mm,
certain order. There were just certain things that we had to do, and I think that that discipline has helped me a lot. It
mm,
really has helped me to understand, like, um, to putting things in order. Just being orderly is helpful to me. So
wow.
on Sundays, I lay out all of my outfits for the week. I look at my calendar and I will just say, okay, I have a meeting this, or today there's something I can dress down for in school. There's a PE event. So I will lay out my outfits on a Sunday so that when I wake up in the morning, it's automatic. I get up, I, get dressed, all
Wow.
those things. That's one less
Mm,
decision I have to make because I've already
yes.
organized myself.
Wow.
Emailing, I think ahead. I'm like, okay, what can I auto schedule for the week? What does my staff need to know for the week? And how can I send out emails in a timely manner? I plan those emails out and I just
Wow.
schedule them. I have probably 20 emails that'll be going out the next couple of weeks because I've already written them. So that's a discipline that I have, but discipline
Wow.
actually helps you have more time for
Mm,
things as they come up and things that you want to do because you've already taken care of some of the tasks that need to be done. So
wow.
that's how discipline really works in my life.
So it's like setting up yourself for success.
That's right.
Mm,
Thinking ahead,
mm,
being forward thinking and planning for what,
yes.
of course, because we know there are going to be things we cannot plan for. But if
Mm,
we've covered the things that we can plan for, that gives us flexibility to pivot when we need to.
mhm.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Dr. Edoho Eket with us in the studio, and we are talking from vision to impact, crafting your leadership legacy from day one. And like we said, today would be could be your day one. It's about choices. It's about choices. It doesn't matter where you are on your leadership journey. You can actually dream bigger. You can dream further. You can build stronger relationships. There is always room for growth, and that's why we are having these conversations. Doctor, what reflection practices have you established? Because you talked about being organized, and who is the better person to answer this question for us if not you? What practices, what strategies do you have in place that you've established that help you to learn from both your successes and your challenges and to be able to dream further?
I do a lot of goal setting. I write down my goals. I've
Mm,
always done that. Small goals, big goals, I've written them down. I keep a
yes.
record of them, and
Mm,
I will go back and see where my progress is on those goals. And I'm constantly writing new goals. So as I'm accomplishing goals, it doesn't stop. I'm
mm,
continuing to do something else, right? Or to work towards something else. So I think having a record is really nice because you can kind of look back over your life. I mean, I've been goal setting since middle school.
mm.
That's something that I just have found the value in, is writing down what I want to do and then making sure I'm holding myself accountable to getting that
Wow.
done.
Wow.
Or that even if the goal is make a new connection with someone this week,
Mm,
that's a goal, right? So I think having a record of what you want to do, writing it down is really critically important, because studies have shown if you have an idea of a goal, that's one thing. But when you write it down, you're more likely to reach it. It's not just about writing it down, you have to actually work towards it. But the
yes.
accountability piece of writing down a goal
Mm,
makes you significantly more likely to achieve it. So,
wow.
my word of encouragement today is to write down at least three things you want to do.
Mm,
At this moment, they may sound very big and overwhelming. For instance, for me, it was write a book, right?
mm,
But you have to also tease out what is the process to writing a book. Go on Google, go on YouTube, start learning about that process of doing these goals. And that's
yes.
how you make them more attainable. Once you
Mm,
find out the how to do something, then start doing it.
yes.
Ask your
Yes.
friends who've done it. So, like when I wanted to write a book, I had several friends who had written books before. I started with them. Tell me your process. And I wrote down all the notes. What
Mhm,
did you learn from that? What would you avoid? Those are all good questions to ask so
mhm.
that you have a better chance of finding success.
Wow, 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 wow. This has been so enlightening, inspirational, and thought provoking. And we are in our last minutes on the show today, Doctor. And we are so thankful that you were able to just come sit with us and speak these things. I'm going to do a brief recap very soon for our audiences. But hey, if you joined us and listen, share this. First of all, share this, okay? Please share this. And then on Facebook, you can send us stars. You can send us stars, and then we also have our Cash App information. If you found value in this, you can also support this show to help us reach many more people. Doctor, there are people that are gonna come watch this just because they saw you on the show, and
Good,
there are people
good.
that are gonna be meeting you for the first time. I am already wowed. I know they're gonna be wowed.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
so what would be your last comments, your last words to our audiences at this time? Because hey, who knows? We might have you work with us again in another session. Oh my goodness, sorry about that. All right. So what would be your last words to our
Yeah,
audience?
well, first of all, I want to say thank you. Thank you for spending this hour with us. I really appreciate it working with you, Dr. Achu. And, I just always end with a word of encouragement to let you know, first of all, thank you for whatever work you're doing, especially to the educators, the frontline workers. This is a challenging time. And the fact that you're showing up every day and continuing to serve in the best way that you can is amazing. And we're very, very appreciative. And I also want to encourage everyone not to limit yourself. Don't limit yourself. know that there's always something that if you want to accomplish it or achieve it, go after it. Don't feel discouraged if no one has done something before, or like, in your family, you might be the first person to do something. That's creating a beautiful legacy. Don't let that stop you from accomplishing what you want to accomplish or what you know that you're capable of doing. So that's how I would end it. And I'd love to stay connected with everyone. My website is racheledoeckett.com. And I have lots of videos and leadership. I also have many resources that might be helpful along your leadership journey. And thank you again for this opportunity.
And we're going to put that information in the comments for you. Doctor's contacts, we're going to put it in the comments for you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Doctor, for spending this time with us. We truly, deeply appreciate from our hearts that you chose to do this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's where we are wrapping up today. From vision to impact, crafting your leadership legacy from day one. We've had the phenomenal Dr. Edoho Eckett talking with us. And hey, what did you write down? She spoke with us and told us so many things. And the final thing she talked about was writing your goals and holding yourself accountable. Listen, next time when we meet, we want to hear what you've done with those goals, and we'll see you in the next live.
For your corporate and personal needs.
Leaders World Institute, changing lives